Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder who is building the digital world around us? I mean, we usually just picture millions of highly caffeinated human developers typing away in dark rooms, right? Well, it turns out there's a massive, completely invisible workforce secretly coding the internet as we speak. And today, we've got the hard, scientific proof to show you exactly how it's all going down.
Seriously, think about the app you're using to check out this explainer right now. Who really wrote it? Was it a human engineer? Or was it a machine? Well, the answer to that is changing way faster than anyone realized.
28.6%. That is a mind-blowing statistic drawn straight from some groundbreaking new research published in the journal Science. It shows that by the end of 2024, nearly a third of all US coding tasks were already being done by AI. And look, we're not talking about some clunky experimental code here. We're talking about the real, functional software architecture that powers our everyday lives.
Section 1. Building the AI Detective.
Okay, let's dive into this. How did scientists actually uncover this invisible workforce? Because, programmers don't exactly leave a watermark when they use AI to do their jobs. So trying to tell human code apart from AI code, it is literally like trying to find a digital needle in a massive haystack. Human code has all these unique quirks, varying lengths, highly personal stylistic choices. But AI code, it follows incredibly structured, predictable, generative patterns. The problem is, trying to spot the difference across millions of lines of complex software is physically impossible for a human reviewer.
Enter Graph CodeBERT. You can think of this as a highly trained algorithmic AI detective. It was built specifically to spot the digital fingerprints that generative AI leaves behind in software. And let me tell you, it is incredibly good at its job. By analyzing the structure and syntax of the code, this detective basically learned exactly what an AI's coding footprint looks like, and it spots it with a staggering 96% accuracy rate.
So who were the primary suspects our digital detective was tracking? Well, we're looking at the heavy hitters here. OpenAI's GPT-4 and their newer reasoning model o3, Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 4, and DeepSeek V3. But what's truly fascinating about this research is that as these models constantly evolved and got smarter, the researchers actually had to keep retraining their detector with new examples just to catch the latest bots. It's this wild, ongoing digital cat and mouse game.
Section 2. Global AI Adoption Rates.
All right, so now that we know how they found this invisible workforce, the next big piece of the puzzle is where this is all happening. Let's zoom out to a massive global scale. Because researchers didn't just look at a handful of prominent tech hubs. No, by pulling data from platforms like GitHub, they mapped these self-reported locations of millions of developers worldwide. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of what we're looking at.
You see, this wasn't just some local Silicon Valley trend. Not at all. The true positive detection rates for identifying AI-generated code are remarkably consistent all over the globe. The data absolutely proves that AI coding has simultaneously hijacked the workflow across all 6 major software-producing countries, from the US to China, Germany, India, Russia, and France. This AI revolution in software development is a completely borderless phenomenon.
Section 3. Are coders more productive? So we've established the who, the how, and the where. But what is the motive behind all this? Why are all these programmers suddenly letting AI take the wheel? Well, to understand this massive shift in productivity, we just need to look at the new workflow. It's actually elegantly simple. Step 1, the coder writes a prompt describing what they need the software to do. Step 2, the AI instantly generates the complex function. And Step 3, the human reviews it, maybe tweaks a few things, and saves their progress. In the industry, saving progress and making updates to a project like this is called a commit. And the data clearly shows that this AI-assisted workflow is drastically speeding up the volume of commits a single programmer can make. They are just getting way more done way faster.
But here's the thing. AI isn't just acting as a super fast typist for these developers. It's fundamentally changing how programmers build things, especially when it comes to software libraries. You can think of software libraries as pre-made Lego blocks. They let programmers quickly plug complex, pre-written functionality into their projects so they don't have to code every single thing from scratch. AI is effectively handing coders entirely new sets of these Lego blocks, giving them the tools to experiment with software architectures they've literally never used before.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that you might naturally assume only beginners or maybe lazy programmers are relying on AI, but the data tells a completely different story. We are seeing a massive spike in experimentation with new libraries for early career coders, absolutely. But we also see a huge boost in total output for senior developers, people with 6 or more years of experience. Basically, everyone across the entire experience spectrum is getting a massive upgrade in their capabilities.
Section 4. The multi-billion-dollar impact.
All right, let's look at how all this builds into the massive economic stakes we've been teasing since the beginning of this explainer. What does a nearly 30% AI adoption rate actually mean for the global economy? Well, to put it simply, it translates to $230 billion. Think about it like this. The United States currently spends around $637 billion annually on coding labor alone. By simply making those workers more productive, speeding up their task completion rates and their commit volumes, this AI boost creates at least $230 billion in new, tangible value every single year. And researchers point out that this is actually a highly conservative estimate.
Because if we push the stakes even higher and look at the entire economic ripple effect, the numbers just get astronomical. When code becomes cheaper and faster to produce, it naturally creates a much greater demand for software overall. And when those savings are passed on to consumers and new demand is generated, wow, the total economic welfare impact skyrockets to a potential $126 billion. This invisible AI workforce isn't just writing code, it is fundamentally reshaping the entire global economy. So there you have it. We've seen the proof. The internet is quietly, rapidly being rewritten by generative models, working side by side with humans all across the globe. Which leads us to one final, really provocative question. Would you trust an AI to build the apps, the software, and the digital infrastructure you rely on every single day? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer, and as always, keep questioning the digital world around you.